time to talk about luxury cruising. From sweet so sweet to ships elite. Come explore the world in style with me on Luxury Cruising, the podcast.
Hey, it's Crystal here. Before we get started, did you know that there is a way for you to directly support the podcast? Head over to my website, luxurycruising.net, and you can buy me a latte, a glass of champagne, or even a whole bottle of champagne if you want. Leave me a note, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out on the next episode. That's luxurycruising.net. You can also leave me a note or ask a question. Okay, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to Luxury Cruising. I'm your host, Crystal Sodaitis, and I'm so excited to have Michele back with us once again. Michele this time is going to tell us about her turned leaf peeping cruise on Seabourn Sojourn up into Canada. So, Michele, please remind the audience about who you are and let them know anything else you want them to know about you.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Michele Wirth. I own Simply Inspired Travel based out of Tampa, Florida, but we have agents in a lot of different places. I love cruising, have loved cruising for a while, and I've been on over 60 cruises across several lines. Yeah, and this was my first ultra luxury cruise.
Awesome. So what made you decide that it was finally time to try Seabourn?
Well, I had always had a little bit of a stigma, or a thought about what a luxury cruise would be like, especially on a smaller ship. I really honestly didn't think I would enjoy it as much as the larger ships, because I do enjoy the large ships. And I decided that I wanted to experience it for myself. I mean, our agency has been getting more into the luxury market. So, when we talk about luxury, always, I mean, there's different levels of luxury, right? Because you don't have to have an ultra luxury cruising budget to want luxury when you go on vacation, right? But I wanted our agency to not shift away from everything we're doing, but I wanted personally to focus more on the luxury market. And so I've had clients over the years that have been luxury clients and have done luxury cruises and upscale things, but none have ever been on an ultra luxury cruise. And so I had done the educational program that Seabourn has, and I was so impressed. I really was. I thought to myself, if it's half as good as they make it seem, I'm going to love this cruise. So I need to get on this. And I'm so glad I did. I really am so glad I did.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us about the ship. What was the ship like?
So the ship itself was really nice. I mean, now I just want to preface to say that this particular ship is not going to be in Seabourn's fleet after May, but it does have a sister ship. And so the ship itself was very nice. It was a smaller ship, as I had mentioned, and I really wasn't sure. Like, I know all the benefits of sailing on a small ship. I wasn't sure if there'd be some negatives. I'll cut to the chase and tell you there were no negatives.
Do you remember about how many passengers?
Yeah, exactly. So the ship holds 450 passengers, but there were only 400 on board.
Wow. Yeah. So really small.
Yeah. What's amazing about it, though, it didn't feel small at all. And because of the ratio of people, one thing that luxury does when you're moving up into luxury is you're gaining more space for every person. Okay. Yeah. That's a very important part of luxury. And so even though the ship was a smaller ship, it didn't feel at all smaller. I mean, it just felt, because there was plenty of space for the amount of people. Everything was so Lovely. Let me just tell you, when I had to go from the back of the ship to the front of the ship, sometimes it felt just as long. It wasn't, but sometimes it did, but it wasn't lacking anything, the ship, as far as I was concerned. Now, my husband will tell you it lacked a casino. It had a casino. It did have a casino, but it was really small. It was just like a small, narrow room. I didn't even pay really close attention to what it had, but it had a lined wall with machines, and then it had a couple of table games. And, he wasn't interested in it, so we didn't stay. But that was the only thing my husband missed on the ship. But there were so many more positives that was just, whatever.
And I have to say, though, I really like it when I'm cruising a smaller ship. And when I say small, I mean, it's still going to be 3,000 passengers. I like that sometimes I can get from one side of the ship to the other, and it doesn't take 15 minutes.
Yeah.
When you're cruising like an Icon class ship, it can take you, especially if you forgot something back in your room. It's like, oh my gosh, now I got to trek all the way back there. So I think in some ways that's nice that you can get around the ship. You can get almost anywhere within 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was really nice. And, let me just say, one of the other things that convinced me that I'd be just fine with a smaller ship, at least the feel of the smaller ship, because that's what I was more worried about, was the river cruises I have gone on. Right? I've gone on river cruises that only have like 120 people on them. And so I thought, okay, if I can do that, for sure. One of the things that I absolutely loved was the ship, because it's small, it almost felt like we were on a river cruise for the first 2 ports. We started out in Montreal, and I highly recommend this itinerary. I thought at first it was a little weird of an itinerary because it's a repositioning cruise. So you were going from Canada to New York City and then down to Miami. But you're getting off in Miami, and I live in Florida, so that worked out great. For somebody who maybe lives in the Midwest and wanted to do that cruise, it might seem a little weird. I don't know. And you'd have your winter kind of vacation or your colder vacation and then your summer vacation if you wanted to. But I loved the itinerary. Let me just say, before the repositioning cruise itineraries, they do have itineraries that will just do that northeast part, which makes a whole lot more sense. This was just repositioning. But what I loved is we started out in Montreal, which is a great city, by the way. It was my first time in Montreal, and I just thought it was great. I will go back. We didn't have enough time there. And then we went to Quebec City, and that was spectacular. But when you're on the St. Lawrence River, you see land on both sides. So it's almost like a river cruise. I thought it was just amazing. I mean, the scenery, the views, it was gorgeous. So that was really cool. Just like in a river cruise, you are really close to the center of everything when you get off that ship, not far at all. And that was true for every single place we went. So our cruise started in Montreal. We went to Quebec City, and then we ran into some weather. I was a little worried about weather.
Yeah, winter in the North Atlantic can get rough.
Oh, yes, it can. And we experienced it, but it was actually fun. I mean, can I say that? It was great. My husband will tell you, but the fact is it wasn't really terrible. I mean, there was a point where I guess it kept him up all night, so he wasn't thrilled about it. It helped me sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
But when I did get up to use the restroom in the middle of the night, it was a challenge because it was very, very rocky. I mean, in our case, I'll just say we did not choose our cabin. We had a cabin guarantee. So we ended up with an accessible cabin. So for our particular cabin, we had doors on our closet rather than a walk-in closet like most people.
Okay. Yeah.
So when it got really rough, those doors were moving. Yeah. So it got quite rough, but they still delivered room service the next morning. He came and I'm like, I did not think you guys were going to come.
Yeah.
They still set up our table and we still had a beautiful breakfast. So it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's go back to like the decor of the ship. How would you describe the decor?
Okay, so this particular ship, and again, it's not one of their newer ships. It's not going to be in their fleet very long. But this particular ship, I would describe it as maybe classic cruising, but with a more, there's nothing gaudy or tacky.
Find?
It was very refined, yeah, and kind of minimalist. Just really, that's more the vibe, It was more of a
Yeah.
minimalist, but classic vibe,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
And it was very, very nice. Very nice.
How was your room?
The stateroom was wonderful. It was very spacious. And now I did, just to compare, because like I said, we ended up in a accessible stateroom. I did go into a regular stateroom so it was a regular veranda stateroom so just like ours, only not accessible. Very similar as far as space and stuff goes. Ours might have seemed a little bit bigger, but it was very similar. It was a very comfortable. The bathroom had 2 sinks. The shower might have been different because we had a large overhead, but then we also had a handheld. So that could have been different. I didn't look in the showers in the other one. You had the nice bed. I want to say the bed felt bigger. It may not have been.
Yeah.
It felt bigger to me than your standard cruise queen, right? And each had a nightstand. We each had a light. They had plugs on both sides with the thing.
Yep.
So it was very convenient. This cabin had more storage in it than any cabin I have ever had on any ship ever.
Wow.
I was shocked. And I have not done full-size suites. I've done mini suites. But I was shocked. This was just a regular entry-level room. I mean, they do have on this ship window only for the ocean views, but this was a veranda, but it was an entry-level veranda. So nothing fancy about it. And it was wonderful. Nice big couch, a nice table with 2 chairs that got set every morning for breakfast because we had breakfast in our room every single day.
Beautiful.
They had a bar, like a dry bar. They had the fridge stocked with whatever we asked for. So typically before the cruise, you are filling out your preferences. And so they'll stock it with that. We were greeted with a bottle of champagne, and then our suite hosts brought us canapes a little bit later on. Every day they were giving us a little something. So one day we got a flower, one day we got like a little wallet, just different things. It was just so nice. We had popcorn one night. And the next night, like, I don't remember, we brought it in from somewhere. But the next night we come in after the show or whatever, and there was a bowl of popcorn sitting on our table for us.
Oh, wow. That's nice. I love that kind of service where they pay attention.
Really?
Where whoever it is, whether it's your stateroom attendant or your, what you called it, food host, they just pay attention and they know, like, oh, like, see, they like popcorn. I'm going to bring them popcorn.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really nice. And then, so the room itself was just so spacious. The balcony was spacious because the balcony had 2 chairs with little lounge things and a table that they would also set if we chose to dine on the balcony. Yeah, very, very, very nice. The attendants or the staff everywhere were just so nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, tell us about the service. And was your suite host different from your stateroom attendant, or were they the same person?
We had 2, and they worked together and separately, I guess. So some things they did together, some things separately. But yeah, can I just say that we never, in the entire 10 days, we never, ever, ever didn't have ice.
That's awesome.
I'm not kidding. Because I love ice. I love to have ice with my drinks and stuff. And so the very first day when she came in, she asked, and I said, the only thing I really would like is ice in the evenings. That'd be great. From that moment on, she left, brought me ice. I never was without ice the entire time. It was amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, it's those little things that really, it's not that you would have said the cruise was bad if you didn't have ice one day.
No.
but it just elevates it from, great to exemplary.
Yeah,
That's,
really.
that's awesome.
And let me just say, this room that we had, I loved the location of it. I'm like, I would seek out that location, that area. And it was a forward room, believe it or not. So we felt those waves, but it was great. I want to say that ship handled the weather well.
Yeah.
Because we had it twice. We had rough weather, and it was in the open sea on the eastern seaboard. The one time was off the New England coast. You know how that
Mhm.
and that ship handled it so well. I was so impressed. I really was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you had breakfast delivered every morning. And was this a hot breakfast that your sweet host set up for you? Like with white tablecloth and
Let
all
me
that?
tell you. So, you know how on regular ships you can get your little room service menu, whatever, and there's a couple things you could choose. Well, we had one of those. And so, but there was about 60 different items on there that you could choose.
Wow.
I mean, everything you could possibly want. And so we just every night we put in our order and every day it came. And it was perfect. It was on time. They would come in and they would ask us if they could set our table. Every day they asked. So that must be something they have to do because
Yeah.
they asked every day. But they would come and they would set our table beautifully. But listen, they weren't just setting our table. They weren't just putting our food on our table. They were setting our table with white tablecloths and real silver. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And every single time you had orange juice, whether it was for breakfast or it was in a mimosa, it was freshly squeezed oranges. It was
Fantastic.
amazing. I mean, if I could tell you that just those few things that I just mentioned would have been enough for me to make my whole cruise. But there's
Absolutely.
even more good stuff. But seriously, it was
Amazing. That's amazing. I guess you could also have breakfast in like the main dining room. Was there a buffet? Tell us about the different restaurants.
okay. Yeah. So the main dining room was available for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. I don't think we went at all for breakfast just because we had ordered the room service the first day. We loved it so much, and that was it. We kept ordering it. But you could have any meal in there. They had a buffet that was unlike any buffet. So when you go to it, it was small to begin with. I mean, it wasn't huge, but it was great. I am not a buffet person, but I loved going there. So first of all, they serve you. So, I mean, right
Yeah.
there, it takes away most of what was icky about a buffet, but they serve you. The selections were just incredible. There was always so much seafood available.
Yeah.
Everything was always changing. I mean, if I were to tell you on any given day, you could get duck, lamb, chicken, beef, pork. I mean, you could get all of those in a day if you wanted to. It was crazy. They had so much and everything was done so well. There was never, between my husband and I, 10 days, we had not one complaint about any of the food, the meals, or the service. It was really truly spectacular.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, are there any specialty restaurants on the ship?
There is one. It's called Solace. It's included in the fare, but you do have to make a reservation because it's smaller, it's more exclusive. And so everybody gets a chance to dine at Solace. So you can make one reservation. I know you can dine there more than once. I just forgot how. I mean, we dined there the one time. It was so spectacular, but it was also really rich and whatever. So once was good. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
That was over the top. It was
Amazing.
They also have like the patio. And I have to tell you, we didn't eat there and I wish we had, but our weather wasn't the best for being outside. It was cold. I don't know if they had little heaters outside, but people are outside with their coats on. But they were serving food out there. And so they'd have different options out there. And some of the options sounded amazing. But like I said, it just wasn't where we wanted to eat. So we didn't. So on a warmer weather cruise, that's another very amazing option. Yeah.
What kind of food was on the patio?
because I didn't eat on the patio. I don't recall exactly. I saved all the menus. I wish I
Was it
wrote
like
them.
burgers? Like, was it like
Oh,
grill
not
food or?
no, like occasionally. So during lunchtime, they did offer occasionally they would be burgers and hot dogs, but there was always way much more. So there might be, really nice wraps or fancy sandwiches. And there were always several options. So even on the patio, but again,
Maybe more like handheld stuff rather than like plated,
yeah,
use a knife and fork kind of food.
yeah. Yeah, a little bit more along those lines. But it did change. And in the evenings, it became more of a restaurant that served restaurant quality, wonderful food. So again, we just didn't take advantage of it. But I will say I was impressed that it was still available
Yeah.
because the weather wasn't the best, which means, they had to deal with it too. But they still made it available and people still enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
I thought I
That's
was
awesome.
impressed with that.
That's amazing. One thing that I worry about on an ultra luxury cruise, especially a small cruise, a small ship, is the entertainment. What was the entertainment like?
It was really good and it surprised me. Yes. So, first of all, they bring in entertainment as well as they have their own, right? So, one of the entertainers they brought in was a comedian. She was from New York City. So, she had gone on the first night in Manhattan and she was just terrific. She was fantastic. But she had won all sorts of awards. She had been on all sorts of shows. So it was high caliber, entertainment. There was another entertainer. He did vocals and played piano. And he had also been on several things. And then he was really good as well. Their house band and their house entertainers, I guess, they were phenomenal. I was very impressed because they really were just so good. I didn't expect it. And, we were on that ship for 10 nights. And for 10 nights, they had different things. It was always entertaining. They never repeated. I was super impressed.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so good. Because that's always my, concern. What about like the usual like trivia and games and game shows and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So, they also have sushi. So they have a club. So right next to the Lane Casino, there's a club, and the club was great. That's where the trio would play every day. And that's where they would have games. That's where they'd host trivia. They do all kinds of stuff like that. And a part of that area is kind of elevated, and there's a bar there, but that's also where they have the sushi restaurant. But then they'll come out and serve sushi out there too. So we would be out there playing cards, and I'd order sushi, and it was really good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Like it's sushi delivered to my card game or my board games. That's the way to go.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
They also had tea every day, and they had tea in the observation lounge, and they had these little cocktail tables, and every table would get a tablecloth, and they'd come and they'd have the 3-tier thing of goodies, which changed every time. Some of them changed, not all of them. They'd give you a menu to select your teas from. It was wonderful.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That's beautiful. I love it.
Then the piano player would come and play. That was great too.
Sounds beautiful. Give me like a time frame too, because like in your 10 nights, like how many sea days did you have and how many port days did you have?
We had a lot of sea days because we were a repositioning cruise. So we embarked on the first day. The very next, that evening, we went to Quebec City. So we had another port stop there. From there, I think we were going to sail through the night and then arrive in Halifax the next day. But because the weather was going to be bad, they said, we're going to get to Halifax and be there overnight. So that was wonderful because we ended up with an extra night in Halifax, which meant we got to get off the ship and go to the casino, which my husband loved. But it was nice because we had the whole next day as well. And then altogether, we did have 5 sea days, though.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
I love sea days. So I'm just trying to get a sense, like the tea and, some of the other stuff, the card games and whatever, was that mostly on the sea days where you're kind of hanging out in the ship and
Yes,
you weren't?
those are on those sea days. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm really curious because you said you stopped in New York. Where did you dock in New York?
We were docked right next door to the Intrepid.
Oh, that's cool.
Next to the Intrepid. It was a perfect location.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So how much time did you have in New York when we were able to go out and
So we had overnight in New York and then the whole next day. So that first day we went out, we had decided to do the hop on, hop off bus that day. We had done it so many times before, but we like it. So we did it. And then that's a good way to get around. And then because we were with two other people that we had met on the ship, there were so many great people on the ship. We met a lot of really cool people. So we were hanging out with this couple that wasn't really a couple. They had just met on the ship, but with them. And then we had gone on to the play and stuff. The next morning, we wanted to go get bagels. So we had gone down to Chelsea Market and we were able to get some bagels and all that and then come back. And yeah, so it was really nice. And I have to tell you, coming into New York and leaving New York on that ship, I had done that once before on another ship, a large ship. We were leaving. I forget if we left in the evening, but we came back really early in the morning, like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
This was amazing. I mean, I was just in awe. Like,
Confused.
I was born in Brooklyn. I had lived in Staten Island. My family's from that area. And I grew up in New Jersey. But pulling away and seeing it all there, like the way it was. And then Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty and coming up so close to it and just all of it. It's just amazing. I mean, anybody who really loves to cruise or really loves that kind of really needs to do that once at least. It's just amazing and beautiful.
And it's such a great itinerary because there's not a lot of itineraries that have New York as a port stop. You might embark there, disembark there, whatever, but to have it as a port, I mean, it sounds like it's a great itinerary. And also, we've talked before about the value of overnight stays. Like you had 2 overnight stays, which is really nice to really be able to get a feel for the city because I always feel a little rushed. Like, even though, first, if you dock at 7, no one's getting off the boat at 7 a.m. But even if you have to be back at 5 or 6, you always feel like the day is cut a little bit short. But when you have all night and you can really experience the city. Yeah, that's beautiful. So, Michele, I love to ask people what their definition of luxury is. And I know I've asked you this before, but tell us now in the end of 2025, what's your definition of luxury?
Fresh squeezed orange juice and room service every morning. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that does it for me too. I would say yes. Yes.
Can I just say that the whole cruise felt good? It felt like a warm hug, It was great. I really, really enjoyed it, I have to say. And I want to tell you, there were parts of the cruise we didn't even necessarily experience, but for the right people, oh my goodness. Like I have clients that 1,000% would love it. So I can't wait to tell them about it. But the conversations I mentioned, they have conversations on board. And what they do is they have experts that come on board and they're there for the whole cruise. And they're doing these talks. And afterwards, they're available in the lounge and people are just hanging with them and talking with them. And I mean, they had I forget what her position was exactly, something in Canada with the court system or whatever, but she did a talk. One talk was the anatomy of a murder. The other one was the anatomy of a murder confession. Things like that. So there was a guy there, he's from the UK, and he was talking about something with international relations, stuff like that, and that sounded too political to me. So I stayed away from that. But for the right people, that's awesome, right? I mean, I know a lot of people were really enjoying those conversations and then hanging out with the experts afterwards to pick their brain. It was great.
As a travel advisor, who would you recommend a Seabourn, this particular Seabourn or any Seabourn cruise for?
I would definitely, anybody who loves to cruise, loves to add on those little things to their cruise that makes their cruise just feel a little elevated. So those people that are adding on the drink package, adding on the Wi-Fi, adding on the room service. Oh, I never even finished telling you about the room service. So let me back up a sec. The room service, when we ordered it, like I said, you could get almost anything. So I was getting poached eggs for room service every morning, right? So it's fantastic. So like if you want to get room service on most cruises, you're either paying a surcharge for it or it's just continental type breakfast. If you want what we ordered, you're paying a decent amount for it. So the thing is, if you were to compare apples to apples on the cruise we just took and then trying to elevate any other cruise to that level, it's a no-brainer because the price difference is not that great when you consider it. And then let's go a step further. It's not just that it's available. It's quality. It's really good quality. I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. It is a little bit more expensive on the initial outlay, but when you consider the fact that it's really all-inclusive,
the price difference starts to shrink.
a lot, yes. So you asked about the clients. So clients that would, again, they like to add on those little things that help elevate their cruise. So they may go to the mini suite instead of the regular cabin, the regular veranda. They may add on a dining package to elevate their dining. They may order room service on a regular basis or whatever. Those are the type of people that would appreciate immensely all the benefits, and the service and the quality of the service and the food and the drinks here. Also, anybody who, let's say, does not really care for the crowds or lines, there are no lines. I will say the only area of the ship that ever got crowded was the colonnade, which is their buffet. But it's because it's that good. It's not because of anything else. You could have gone a million other places there, walk right in and have a seat. People were choosing it on purpose because it was just so good and it was nice. So even though it was a little bit crowded, but that was it. Other than that, nothing else was crowded. So people that really don't like crowds, don't like lines, you can avoid any kinds of crowds and any lines whatsoever on the ship. You just don't go at one place. People that are a little bit more intellectual, their idea of a good time would be to listen to an expert talk about his craft or her craft and that kind of thing. So people who enjoy that would definitely appreciate this cruise. I want to say that I was looking at an Alaska cruise that's on special right now with Seabourn. And so for under $10,000, 2 people in a veranda suite, all inclusive, and even $1,000 onboard credit.
That's a good deal.
That brought it down to $8,000. Could experience Alaska in a very unique way because it's a small ship. This is their newer ship. It's on their new ship, though it does have a few more people on it. I think that ship has 600 instead of 400, but still small ship. Okay. That's typically what's considered a small ship now that the ships have gotten so big. What they have when you are on an Alaska itinerary is they have Ventures by Seabourn, and they have a crew on board that is expedition crew. And they also have the Zodiacs. So if you are somebody that's interested in an expedition type experience, you could get a taste of that here. Because they do that. They have a day. Also, the ports that they're going to, oh my goodness. I mean, they're ports that none of the other ships go to. I was looking and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And they've got a lot of glacier viewing, and their glacier viewing is like, when you're on the big ship, you get a excursion. You pay like what, $200 to get on another ship to get closer. Well, this is closer, you know?
Yes.
And there's a lot of scenic cruising. So it's really
Just the experience. I love that part of Alaska, just to like sail through the fjords and look at all the waterfalls and see some wildlife. Like that is a beautiful part of.
Yes, I love Alaska so much. You know, I could go every year. If I could get my husband to go every year, I would. I tried to grab this cruise for us, and he's like, we were just in Alaska. I'm like, so I might have to wait a year, but I want to experience it in Seabourn because I think it'll be spectacular. So anybody who's been to Alaska, loves Alaska, and wants to do it again, do it this way. This will be a little bit different. It'll be elevated. I mean, I can only imagine. So, let me tell you about our sail away in New York City, because this was a signature event. And every cruise, you will have a signature event. So our signature event was at the sail away on that second day when we were leaving New York City. And it was on the pool deck. It was ABBA and Caviar. So the trio was out there and they were doing ABBA songs and stuff. Or maybe it was the whole band. I don't even know. It was some of them. And then they were serving caviar and champagne. Just all you want. Caviar and champagne. Caviar. It was
That's their
wonderful.
and that's like every cruise has one signature event, which is like a up-leveled pool party.
Yes. So Alaska, it's caviar on ice.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Oh, right.
That's amazing. So what do you have planned? Tell us any luxury cruising or traveling.
Okay, so we've got the beginning of March. Oh, I don't have anything till the beginning of March. I have a Napa trip. And then after that, at the end of March, I'm going to go on Oceania. It'll be my first Oceania cruise.
Well, hopefully you'll come back and tell us all about
I
that.
hope so.
I would love to hear about Oceania. And just remind everyone, if they want to book that Seabourn to Alaska or anything else, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can reach me at Michele@travelsimplyinspired.com, or you can reach any of our advisors by going to our website, which is also travelsimplyinspired.com. And let me know that you heard it here. And I'll make sure you get something extra special when you book your cruise.
You have an intake form, right?
I do have an intake form, yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. It's always much fun to talk cruising with you, and to all the listeners. Thank you as well. And until next time, I wish you safe and luxurious cruising.
Hey, before you go, if you're enjoying this content, I would so appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you'd like to be on the show, there's a link to a form in the show notes, or you can email me at luxurycruisingpodcast@gmail.com. That's luxurycruisingpodcast@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.